Hi everyone, welcome to my another episode of the FAB Five series, and today I will be covering 5 exercises for the glutes. So let's get started. So guys, the first exercise in our glute series is the dumbbell hip thrust. Now you need a dumbbell for this and you need a bench where you will be lying across a bench. So let me demonstrate to you this exercise. This is done in a sagittal plane. So the positioning of the torso is important. You lie down almost in the center of the bench in such a way that your rib cage is on the bench, head is somewhat rested. You bring the dumbbell up and keep it around your hip region, and the starting position is where the knee, hip and the shoulder is in a straight line. And now when I go down towards gravity, I have to let my head come up with the shoulders and not let it stay down. So head does a seesaw effect. When I take my hip up, I keep my head rested. So head travels with the torso. You maintain a posterior pelvic tilt and keep activating your core at all points of time. Make sure the knees stay at 90 degree when you come up, and when you're coming down towards gravity, your knees don't cave in. Breathe out when you push it up, breathe in when you take it down. Breathe out and breathe in. This is how you do the hip thrust, which is working the glutes by the movement called hip extension. So guys, the next exercise in our routine is the fire hydrants. Now, fire hydrants are performed in a quadruped position. The previous exercise you saw, which was the hip thrust, was in a semi-bridge position where you are supine. So every position you take differently, your muscle, in fact, the same muscle works in a different manner. So let me demonstrate this exercise. And because the movement here is a horizontal hip abduction, I cannot use a dumbbell or so. So that's why I'm using a fit loop to add more resistance to it. But mind you, if your form and technique is not good, first master it without this particular equipment, and then increase the resistance by wearing fit loop. So get into this quadruped position, activate your scaps, cervical neutral, posterior pelvic tilt, lumbar is neutral as well, and then it's just a single joint movement, which is where I abduct and I come down. I breathe out whilst going up, I breathe in whilst coming down. So I do the stipulated reps on each side. Repeat the same with the other side. The movement is only and only at the hip, which is horizontal abduction, which is working my lateral part of the glutes. And this is how you do the fire hydrants or a quadruped position horizontal hip abduction. The next exercise is a dumbbell stiff-legged deadlift. Now there are different types of deadlift, but I have chosen this particular deadlift, which is focusing more on the glutes. And stiff leg, you can do a Romanian one as well, depending upon your goal. So if you choose the Romanian one, you will be working more on the eccentric strengthening of the muscle. So I will be demonstrating the dumbbell stiff-legged, which will be a dumbbell Romanian deadlift. So the movement in this exercise is again a hip extension, but now you are taking a different starting position, which is a standing position. So I'm standing with the dumbbells right in front of my thighs, keeping my core activated and pushing my hips back, sliding the dumbbells through the thighs, keeping my knees soft, stopping the dumbbells around the mid calf level and coming up. My flexibility in the hamstrings and my glutes and my posterior chain allows me to go lower, and hence I can cross it to that point, but make sure that the spine is neutral at all points of time. So the movement is hip going towards the opposite wall, lengthening your posterior chain and coming up. Make sure that your core is active at all points of time. No need to look in front whilst doing the exercise. Keep your cervical neutral. Breathe in when you take it down. Breathe out when you take it up. Make sure you maintain that neutral arch on the lower back and don't hyper arch it. Uh, this can be done with a barbell as well, but with a dumbbell, you have the liberty to hold the grips slightly at an angle, which can help you in retracting your shoulder blades better. So this is how you do the dumbbell stiff-legged deadlift or the dumbbell Romanian deadlift. The next exercise is a resisted hip abduction. Now, you normally see people doing a hip abduction standing or in a lying down position. But many times people don't activate their core properly, or they unnecessarily bring in the quads into picture, which shouldn't be the case. So I have modified this exercise and I'm going to do a hip abduction in a hip hinge position. And to add the resistance, I'm going to wear these fit loops around my ankles. So get into a hip hinge position. If need be, a supported one. Try and take a support here so that you are stabilized really well. Keep your cervical neutral. Keep your thoracic neutral, lumbar neutral, and just a small movement is all you need to activate your glutes. You are again working the lateral aspect of the glutes, and repeat the same with the other side. Again, this is a single joint movement, but isolating the glutes really well. So this is how you do a hip hinge position, hip abduction. So guys, the last exercise in our glute series happens to be a reverse hyper. Now, reverse hypers are normally done on a bench in a prone position. You can also do it on a box, or you can also do it on a Swiss ball. Now, let's say I have this particular bench here, and if I try to do this particular exercise, what is the limitation? So I am lying down on the edge of the bench in such a way that my hip crease is just at the same point where the bench starts. I can keep my head to one side or keep it neutral depending upon however convenient it is for an individual. The movement is hip extension and hip flexion. Now, because the range of motion is very less here, I am hyper arching my back when I'm going up. Of course, I can do this a single leg movement as well. So I can do it unilaterally as well as bilaterally. But the problem is that my range of motion is very less. So what do I do to combat that? I just elevate the bench. Of course, I have to change the position. So make sure that you are aligning yourself properly in such a way that your safety is always prioritized. You stay here or you keep your head neutral. Now you get a bigger range of motion because your hip is flexing more. You're getting a better extension and it is keeping your spine safe. If you notice, it's not hyper arching my back. If I go too high, that will hyper arch the back. So breathe out when you take your legs up, breathe in when you take your legs down. So this is how you do the reverse hypers on a bench. So guys, these are my 5 exercises for the glutes. I tried to cover all the possible planes in which it can be worked. And most of these exercises are a single joint movement, but the other joint does get involved indirectly. So other muscles do help you, assist you in working the glutes more efficiently. Of course, the glutes are made of 3 muscles, the gluteus minimus, medius, and the maximus. So the smaller muscles, which are the deeper lying muscles, have to be targeted individually, and hence you will see most of these exercises in a single joint manner. Please try them. Do a rep range either of 8, 12, 15 or 2 to 3 sets, whatever is convenient to you, and do let me know how your experience was. Until next time, see you soon. Bye-bye.